Welcome to
Hey,
another
morning.
edition of Sales Chatter. It's Mayhem Mondays. I know Jeff and I are chomping at the bit to get to this topic today. Good morning,
Yeah,
Jeff. How you doing, brother?
good morning, man.
Good morning. All right, let's hit that intro and let's get started.
All right.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
Awesome. I love that intro, man. Jeff, what'd you get up to on the weekend, my friend?
Hey, you know what? Actually, I did absolutely nothing. My wife and my mother-in-law went down to DC to go see the Elton John concert. I was like, I'm not going down there. I'm not going to drive
You're not a
2 hours.
rocket man. You're not gonna. You're gonna.
And so I had a great weekend doing absolutely nothing. It was great, man. No complaints. How about you?
Yeah, you know what? I've had some busy weekends, and this was the weekend we decided to do the same thing, just like chill at home, do absolutely nothing. The one highlight for me was watching the Big Brother season finale last night. Shout out to Taylor winning. But other than that, we just rested up and just got like, I took Saturday morning to kind of do some tactical thinking in terms of like my ideal client profile and kind of going to Q4, Q1. So it's awesome, man. It's really, really awesome to kind of see the kind of growth and things that's kind of
Yeah,
going in. Like today's episode is going to be a big help for myself as well. So, yeah, let's get into it, man. Client retention.
yeah,
Um,
sounds good.
when it comes to client retention, my man, I know there's so many ways. I know I got my strategies, you got your strategies. But let's kind of like start with the basics, man. What does client retention look like to you?
To me, it's doing the right thing at the right time. I don't really bother my clients too much,
Hmm.
um, because if you're doing something right, then there's no need to continually follow up. It's what you do when something goes wrong or they have a question, and how fast that you're able to answer that. I mean, some people kind of wait, like, I'll get back there. I'm really busy. I'll call up in about a half an hour or so. No, we're right on the spot when it happens. And every once in a while, we touch base just to see how the client's doing. A lot of them have been, I'm fortunate, a lot of mine have been on for a few years, which,
Yeah.
is kind of unheard of because a lot of customers, they're like fleas. They jump from one dog to the next dog to the next dog, and we try to curtail that as much as possible by just servicing the hell out of our customers, and it's grown. I know for a fact that it's cost so much money to replace
Yep.
a customer that you currently have on board. So you try to do everything that you possibly can, Ryan, to keep those customers in your corral and continue doing business with them. And now you have to look at strategic initiatives over a certain period of time, because you don't want to let everything out of the bag at once, because then what are you going to have to offer later on down the road, right? So you try to kind of predict those things based upon the conversations that you have with them when they do pop up, and taking it to the next level. Like I said last week when I was on vacation, I had my business plan, and it was called the Level Up Plan. We know where we are right now, but we just want to take it up a notch, just to keep them um, interested. I should
Yeah.
say interested in what we're doing. How about you? What do you do, for the customer engagement, and then keep them somewhat happy?
Yeah, you know what? I think the one mindset that I kind of have, I just want to kind of shout everybody out. Good morning, Lisa. Good
Hey, good
morning,
morning,
John.
Lisa.
John, it's
Hey,
been a
John.
minute. And it's Lisa brings up here long-term relationships, and it's great that she says that. I'm a
Yes.
big believer in that. Hey, any kind of short-term problems, the fix is not a band-aid. The fix is
No.
a long-term solution. So I believe that like a band-aid will not fix a broken arm. And for
Oh,
me,
well.
I've been lucky as well that I've been able to work with the same customers that I had at the beginning that I've started my career, and that's just because. I truly believe that this industry is so big. Like, what is the actual number? Like 800 million plus, sorry,
More than
billion
that.
plus industry. Yeah,
It's
way more than that. That
it's
we should be able
massive.
to pick who we want to work with. It's we don't want to be transactional. We want to get along with people. For me, what I kind of do, and this is just for what works for me, is that I like to kind of not like weekly checkup calls. I like to kind of just call and just see how things are going. You know, they can range from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, sometimes to an hour. But it's really a personal development call. You know, see how things are
Yeah,
going. Any birthdays coming up. It's just really a personal thing that I like to do. As you mentioned here, like you've been working with customers for years, and luckily customers might jump from position to position, right? But with that being said, you kind of want to maintain it like it's status quo. You service the customer, as you mentioned, and they will
yeah.
stay, you know.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
and for me, it's like, you know, just having those conversations. I was talking to another sales rep in the industry as well, and he says like every Thursday, him and his customers get on like I think it's like a PlayStation or Xbox game, you know, and that's how they kind of shoot the shit and kind of like, you know, how do they build a relationship. But that works for everybody, you know, and
Yeah,
yeah,
until they lose. Until they
you know what? I
there
you
goes
know
the
that can kind of do.
relationship.
You know, it's like, oh man, you know, you beat me in Madden, so I'm gonna cut you down a couple loads this week, right? So,
Yeah, there you go.
with that being said, I think with customers, okay, so you talk about a relationship, right? Any kind of
Yeah,
relationship, you and I, you know, we've been in a relationship, and you know, like a wife, girlfriend, all that stuff. Everything at the beginning is amazing. You know, it's all daisies, it's a honeymoon, it's everything. Everyone's loving it. You know, you want to cater to them, and then you kind of
it's
hit that.
all what the hell happened?
Exactly. You're like 20 pounds later and you're like,
Yeah, yeah,
hey,
yeah.
you know, like what's our favorite takeout place? But
Yeah,
you got to kind of
exactly.
maintain it, right? And Jeff, what do you kind of think of like, like, do you ever look at churn rates? I used to work for in the telecom industry, and churn rates was a big stat that we looked at. Is that something that you kind of factor into your business as well?
I don't have that problem right now, but I can relate to it because when I was an account executive for local 3PL, we had the CRM and we engaged that every single day, like the length of call when we made calls out to customers, and then we looked at the revenue and what was being produced from that client. Should we keeping them on board? We knew their birthdays. We knew their wife's name, their children's name, their hobbies. We wanted to make sure that we just didn't talk about work. Um,
Yes.
but the most crucial part of the CRM was, why did the customer leave? I mean, if you are on top of that constantly all the time and you're engaging and all of a sudden they went south on you, why did they do that? I mean, that's the most important question, right? To figure out how you're going to take your business to the next step and the next level, to try to reduce and minimize those times that they do jump ship. So it's kind of like, we did quarter, hey, how we doing, post-its, postcards that we sent out every quarter, just to ask those critical questions. Hey, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? And what can we improve on? I mean, it really bumped up the engagement with the customers because it showed them that you were fully engaged with them, that they were very, very important, that they weren't just a deli ticket number, and that they meant something to you. And then on the backside of that, you mean something to them because they're
Yes.
answering those critical questions. Now, I've been very, very lucky that a lot of the customers that I've had in my past, I'm great friends with them. I built that relationship where, we're lifetime friends. Do I do business with them? No, I don't do business with them now. I just
Yeah.
chose not to go and do that. No, I didn't get kicked out. If somebody happened to ask that question, I didn't. I just chose that I wanted to go into different areas of the business, and I wouldn't say succeed, but just move on and do that. I mean, I talk to the guy all the time, and other friends in the industry. So those are the type of relationships that you want to try to build, and it's long term. It's a lifetime partnership if you really
Yeah.
think about that. Because it just costs too much money to replace those. Like I said, if you just looked at it, just think about, and again, I don't make many calls, but I do understand the people who do make those calls to prospects. How many calls did it take you to get your first customer on board?
Yeah.
How much time did that take? How much time did it take to launch them and to find out all those critical information when you do the RFI and the RFP and the RFQ and you're going all the way through that? Time is money, right? And the thing is that when you look at that timing of everything that you've done for that customer, and then all of a sudden you lose them, man, that's a lot of money. A lot of money. I don't know. How about you? I mean, I'd love to know about, the audience and
Yeah,
their thoughts on it, because it's a critical part of the brokerage industry, of keeping those customers engaged and happy, and just speaking with them. I'd love to find out what their thoughts are.
Yeah, of course. And Lisa kind of brings up a point here. And actually, that was actually going to say too, as well. Like, like you look for the long term fixed solution to fill gaps to avoid from reoccurring. And it kind of comes back to like our number one thing we say here is control the controllables, right? And kind of be proactive. Yeah, I would love to see in the comments, like, what do you guys kind of do? What's some quirky things you do? Because even for me, like, as everybody kind of knows, I'm a dog lover, right? So some of the customers I have, I find out if they have dogs, and, I'll send some toys, I'll send some treats and things like that. I'm thinking about them. And it's kind of funny because, like, Lisa brings up a good point here, like face to face and in person visits are impactful. And I see
Absolutely.
the flip side of it too, because there's customers that I've personally never met, and we have a great relationship, and it's about business, and like being connected at the end of the day too.
Very much
I
so.
think one point that I kind of want to kind of drill here is that we're kind of entering Q4. It's RFP season, so let's say I want to give you a scenario, Jeff, and how you
Mm.
kind of would react to it. You've got a new customer, and everything's been going well since, let's say you got them from February or March or so. They're coming up to an RFP now, so you've been working outside of an RFP before then. What kind of strategies are you having? What kind of conversations are you having with the customer as they're going into the RFP? That, hey, people are going to be bidding on, let's say, the lanes or anything like that you currently have.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to servicing, right? If you're servicing the hell out of the account, you're going to be an incumbent carrier, and they're going to rely on you more than outside ones, because first of all, they know you, they know how you operate, they know how you respond. So when you get into those RFPs, yeah, you're going to have numerous amount of conversations. I just had one. I just did a 200. Remember, I did 201 lane, 794 moves monthly. Massive size RFP, right?
Of course.
He knows me. One thing that was good, he was my old boss, so that kind of helps out a little bit more than others, because we know how to work between us. And the thing is that you must ask all those questions. You don't, when you do those RFPs, don't go and try to win every lane. You're going to
No.
lose. You're going to lose time. You're going to lose. It's just like anything else. When I tell and help people, is that your niche, your lanes, geography, the carriers that you do business with, where they like to work, how they like to work. Those are the lanes that you concentrate on. You'll have a better idea. Now, you could be a little bit more higher on your rate, but then your value is what you have done in the past and proven yourself, right? You don't want to devalue that by any means. You want to add to that value and create, of course, more revenue on that side. The way that you do it is, hey, listen, I know this is a little bit higher than what I had on the other one. However, the market's changed. These carriers are looking for more volume. Hey, do you have any backhauls coming out? Do you have any of that? I've done this on this lane, just as an example. And what happens is that snowball starts rolling and becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. You know what? Listen, Jeff, for another $100, let's do this. Let's do this, because I know you're going to get it covered. I'm all in, blah, blah, blah. So those are the things that you have to especially now, because we are in the RFP season, because you got the new year coming up, first quarter, unless you're in CBG, which most, the Japanese companies, their fiscal year ends on March 31st, new year on April 1st. So it's extended, but a lot of the major companies out there are in that engagement right now. Don't try for the long RFPs. Try to go for the short ones, because the market is extremely volatile. You have no idea what the fuel is going to be. Again, you're not God. Even if you put a buffer on those negotiated rates, you might find yourself in a hole. So the way that I do it is, like, I may go just a couple of months. And when I'm talking to my customer, I'm saying, Customer A, this is the reason why I'm doing this. I know you're looking for long-term contractual agreements, but this is what's happening in the market, and this is why I'm doing. Would you be open for a 2-month RFP? And what we'll do is we'll sit down and we'll revisit that. We'll revisit the lanes that are, have a big sway, either in a positive or a negative way. We'll start adjusting in that, and so forth and so on, during those conversations, because those conversations are the ones that are going to build long-term business relationships for sure. Absolutely, because they know that you're engaged and you know that they're engaged. So that's the way that I do it. How about you? What do you do in the RFP
Yeah.
time? I
So,
mean,
well, we're kind of like the same thing too. Like, you have those conversations before the fact. You know that an RFP is going to come. So
yeah,
you service it, right? And you do your best that you can, and you kind of set them up with the same expectations. Like, you know what, like you got to understand, like, hey, if you want a lane from a customer, you took that away from somebody else, right? Because like they lost that lane from there, whether it be a service or whether it be a price or something like that. But that's for you to figure out when in your conversations, like unpeeling with your customer. For
or
me,
just
when I kind
ask
of
them,
yeah
ask them
yeah straight
straight
up
out,
yeah straight
straight
up
up.
ask them. Yeah, and they'll be
Why
honest.
is this lane available?
Yep.
You know,
Like,
I
and then
mean,
the answer to that is actually really good, because like it's going to be A, we took it from another carrier, or B, it's a brand new lane, so that means that their
exactly.
business is booming, right? And they want to leave like a good impression on their new customer as well, right? So both
Yep.
are really good, and you kind of learn from the past. I'm the same way, exactly like you're kind of saying, like, like you have those conversations, like you as Ken mentioned last week on data day, like, some customers, the bigger guys, they're going to that 1 year back contracted rate, but not the smaller guys or anything like that. But the market share dictates what direction they kind of go in as well, right? So for
Mhm.
me, like, I have those conversations with my customers ongoing. Like, we have those weekly calls. Every month I'll send them a basically report of what we've done, the revenue we've done. The same thing like you do. I literally put in an email
Oh, yeah.
point what we did right, what we did well, and what we can improve on.
Mhm.
And they appreciate it. They appreciate that transparency from there. I know that, like you said, we go into Q4. We're doing RFPs. Q1, what kind of conversations are you kind of having? Not set necessarily like outside of price. I know you're not a transactional guy, but when do you start having those Q1 conversations with your customer throughout the year?
Actually, in the beginning, I mean, we all know that it's return season, right after Christmas. Reverse logistics on that side. So you want to start popping up those questions about the reverse logistics. Try to get that data, just to get a good feel of how much of their products are being returned and when. So this way, now you're going to have that conversation with your incumbent carriers, the carriers that are on there, the carriers that are looking for backhauls coming out of where that product was delivered. You want to try to build consolidation centers to reduce costs as well by doing small LTL shipments to a cross dock, and then basically doing your line haul depending upon the length of haul, talking about all those different kinds of things to minimize costs. Yeah, it's all part of that. And then again, what's coming up over the new year, the first quarter, second year? What are you working on? What are your new product lines? What's coming in? How can we help you ramp up? What kind of problems are you projecting? You can create that timeline in like an Excel, or whatever. Here's what we need to do by this time. This is what we need to do by that time, and then be able to launch and hit those targets. But of course, within that time frame, you're still communicating with that customer. You're communicating with the carriers, because again, it's all about collaboration and making sure that everybody is engaged. So when that new product line comes out, or whatever problems they're working on, that you're fully engaged, everybody understands. And also, one of the biggest things you also want to do is you want to talk to the S and OP, the sales and operations team of the customer. And I said this a long time ago about, it's important about having carrier roundtables, and those carrier
Yes.
roundtables with the customer. It's not about rates or accessorials or anything. It's about ramping up and helping the customer get prepared for whenever they're launching. And you also want to find out, it's a great time for the carriers to talk about, hey, what's new that's happening with that carrier. and carriers have ears. Oh, wow, that guy's doing that and stuff. So they start listening and they start figuring out some best practices and stuff like that. I mean, when I used to do that a long time ago, that engagement helped everybody immensely, especially if that customer has different DCs and RDCs and warehouses throughout the whole country. You're having a representative for all of them, because what launches in New Jersey is going to launch out in Anaheim, that's going to launch out in Aurora, that's going to go in Tijuana or Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. I mean, just naming a few. So you want everybody fully engaged in what's happening at the new year, and it works. It wonders. It really does, because everybody gets on the same page. And again, the main objective of a salesperson is to get a seat at the oak table, and that's where things happen. That's where the magic happens. And if you're invited to that oak table, you are ingrained in that operation, and that means that they want to do long-term business, with you. There's nothing better than that. I can tell you firsthand.
Yeah. And when you're in with the customer at the oak table, as you mentioned here, it's awesome to hear like when other sales reps call them and they tell you the stories of like people calling them and what they kind of say. And it's like, okay, well, you know what? It's not even competition at that point. It's like, you know what? I'm doing my job. I'm not watching exactly what
That's
they're
it.
doing. I
Right.
got a
Reports
question for
too.
you.
You want to do your reports. It's a great time,
Yeah.
to do an annual review, broke down by quarters. Here's what you did, then you can start creating projections off of that data from the
That's true.
previous years, especially if they're going to increase volumes and everything. Then you can have somewhat predictability of what's going to happen in the first quarter, second, third, and fourth of the following year by driving that forward with data, right?
Yeah.
That data helps to move the business forward. Try not to make those decisions by an emotional feedback of what you feel. The data is going to tell you how to move it. And the thing is that you have to get the buy-in from the customer, the buy-in from the carrier. That's
Yes.
what it's all about, because you're talking about their business, not your business, but their business. And you want to help them to project their future and what's going to happen in the following year. So
Yeah, and I'm gonna take a page out of DJ's book because I know he's a big quote guy, but I know like Zig Ziglar said, like you'll get exactly what you want by helping people get exactly what they want, right? So we're
right.
in a service industry. It doesn't matter what you kind of think of it. We're in a service industry, and I was reading a report before we actually got on this call that like in terms of like churn rates, and there was a survey done of customers why they leave, and
Mhm.
68% of them said that they leave because they don't feel valued enough, right? So at the end of the day, it's like
Boy, that's a
today.
good guy.
Yeah, exactly, right. And it doesn't matter for business, but like we're talking business here as well. But I would honestly recommend everybody like today hop on the call with your customers, see how they're doing, how their weekend was, and kind of build that rapport. And the good thing about building rapport is that you can start at any time. If you haven't been doing it, if you got a new customer maybe like 2-3 months ago, or even like a couple years ago, and you're not doing it, well, I'm not sure that they're still there, but you can always build rapport and you can always show them that you care. Jeff, I had an interesting thing that happened to me, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, I had an intro call. We booked a discovery call with a customer. I thought it was probably the worst call ever that I've probably had. Um, Mind you, we got into some transactional stuff. We did some lows and things like that, and then he left. And then his replacement came, and now we click. He hits my ICP.
Mm.
How do you handle situations where, hey, customer, you're doing really well with a customer, like as you mentioned, worked for years, and then they've decided, hey, it's time for me to go somewhere else, or time to retire and things like that. What is your kind of, because I think that would be valuable like to the audience as well, because we do see on LinkedIn, everyone, they have the opportunities to go to different companies and things like that. How are
Sure
you
happens.
handling a new job change?
Perfect question. If you have that type of relationship with your current contact there, he's going to be forthright. He's going to tell you what's going on. If you've got that right engagement, when is it going to happen? Hey, listen, before you leave, I'd like to set up a webinar. If you could do a introductory, tell the gentleman or the
Yeah.
lady, whoever's jumping in your seat, who I am, who you're working with, what we've done. I'd like to formally introduce myself to him or her, and start it off right. So at least they know where we are, where we left off, and where the the goals and objectives that you have might not be necessarily the same as the person jumping in your seat. And that's what I want to try to uncover so we can continue this. And it's happened to me with one of my oldest customers, and the transition was beyond perfect. And they're just the type of customer that, if something's going wrong, let's chat. Otherwise, if nothing's going wrong, we don't need to chat, kind of deal, And it's just been working like clockwork every single week. So those are the things that are most important. It's when they don't tell you that something is happening, and then the weekend goes. He leaves on a Friday. You call up, hey Joe, man, how you doing? Oh, Joe's no longer here. What the? It's just like, why? Now you got to ask yourself, why didn't he tell you that? Then that tells you volumes too. I thought we had a good relationship, but it wasn't as good as it should have been.
Yeah.
Now you start thinking about, avoidance. How do I avoid this type of thing from happening? Because you're right, Ryan. In this industry, a lot of people change their roles drastically, either within a company or they're jumping ship and they're moving on to a higher position or whatever it might be. The one thing that's good about that, and again, I'll use myself as an example. I left a couple of companies, and my bosses, we were on good terms. Few of them go to a different company. I make a phone call. Hey, how you doing? How do you like the new role? Hey, Jeff, listen, I want to bring you in. Boom. Nothing speaks more volumes than having those type of relationships with those customers. They don't have to be like an ex-boss or anything. It does help. But I mean, with your customers, if you have that type of engagement and they love working with you, don't be surprised if they contact you or find out where they went and contact them.
100%. And I think that's really important because that's actually the flip side of it, right? Like you basically kind of get two customers at that point, right? And I know sometimes they need to go there and kind of ramp up. Here's a prospecting tip for anybody kind of watching. I know everyone kind of like they look for new customers and things like that. They go on Sales Navigator. If you're actually prospecting pretty hard and you're actually looking for like new industries, go on a job search website and like type in the title of like somebody like a transportation manager. If a company is hiring for that role, call them and make an intro, because you're probably going to get the previous person there and then the new person coming in as well. So that's a prospecting tip. I know I never really kind of shared that, but definitely do that because that's worked for me. I'm not big on the LinkedIn or kind of finding prospecting there, but Indeed, Monster, all the job sites, go and do that. And
I'll tell you, I mean, this is a perfect segue, but it's terrible. It's terrible. It really is terrible. I knew this guy a long time ago that used to look in obituary column. I swear to God, where did the guy work? And he got business from doing that. I couldn't believe it. He found out, hey, the guy or the woman dropped dead or something like that. They need help. And he used to call. It was like an ambulance chaser. I mean, I'm serious. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Please don't do that, man. That's like
yeah. That's some
like
bad negativity vibes.
Beyond low. But I'm telling you the truth. Some guy that I used to know did that, and I was like, man, that is below low, man. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so don't do that. Please do not search up your local obituaries and see what they're up to, because then it's gonna sound fake, right? You call them and be like, "Oh my God, I heard XXX like John died or something like that," and it's just not genuine. You're not starting the relationship on the right foot, right? So
don't be that desperate.
Yeah, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Like don't be that guy. I thought today was such an amazing episode. If you did find value in this, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit us up. Like, let us know if there's certain topics you want us to kind of hit up and kind of talk about, because I thought today was real value. Today's Monday. This is a topic that everyone should be having a conversation with their customer. Jeff,
yeah, it's just like Kyle said. You see what Kyle said?
Oh, let's see. Let's see what Kyle says here. Yeah, job post logistics. Yeah, exactly. Job post religion might be more tasteful way of doing it, Jeff. So,
I'm
yeah,
with you, Kyle.
yeah, exactly. No obituary, just stick on
No.
Indeed and things like that. And obviously you'll find more job posts than dead employees. And you know what? it's I'm kind of speechless to be honest, like hearing that, but that's actually good to hear. But we are gonna hit the replay again today at 12 Eastern and 3 p.m. Eastern time. Check us out on YouTube, LinkedIn, on Facebook. And like I said, we love the engagement with everybody. Tomorrow's gonna be an awesome episode. Jeff, any kind of closing words? I know that you've been amazing. We've been killing it ever since you and I, so any kind of closing words for anybody out there?
Oh man, just go after it. Like I've said all the time, man, over the weekend, I love Mondays, man. I can't wait for the new week to do it. Just get into it, man. Keep that foot on that pedal and gas forward, man. Full gas. You got
Yeah,
this.
full
Go
gas,
do
no
it.
breaks, make it happen, So that's it for me, guys. Just honestly want to thank you, everybody. Thank you, Daman, from Centurion Trucking, for being a sponsor. And thank you, everybody, for being here this morning.
Appreciate it.
Centurion Trucking, our motto is people before profit. Today's market requires more transparency, consistency, and focus on what our clients need to win. Centurion Trucking and American Logistics are poised to help their clients achieve and surpass their targets. If you're looking for a team that honors your needs, dreams, and aspirations, then get a hold of Daman at American Logistics or